think when I listen to the countdown shows that have the song dedications, the letters where they usually kind of tell a sad story about something and, to go along with their song request, that's probably another example of the sympathy aspect in me, because I've definitely often teared up when I've heard those kind of things. And sometimes, an interview with somebody like in sports or some other kind of celebrity who's telling, a story of something in their life, and it makes an impact on me. And it's not even just sad ones. Sometimes it can be a happy story, triumphant in some way, and that'll, bring the same kind of emotional reaction. It's like that extreme kind of sympathetic response where it really makes an impact on me. It's not something where I can hear something like that and just remain emotionally neutral. Now, I'll sometimes think a particular thing is, more funny than it is emotional, and so I'll still react to that, because then I'll react to the humor of it. So I'm always going to have a reaction. I'm not stoic about anything, and ever. I can keep a straight face when I'm trying to, and when I'm concentrating on that for a particular reason. But I really am not emotionally neutral on anything. I always have a reaction. That's one of the reasons I had no issues when I took type tests and stuff with having results where it showed 100% on F or close to it. Because, you'll read stuff that says, well, just having this F preference doesn't mean you necessarily, always make decisions based on, emotions, and even though that you might have a tendency to. In my case, I really do. They're really, I reread something that I was talking about. I was talking about somebody with somebody about this online. I don't care about anything that I have no emotional investment in, and that emotional investment can only be for a few seconds, but that's still an investment, because I put my emotions into whatever that was, even for a few seconds. I can't fathom having a reason to survive if I did not have an emotional connection to someone or something. And that blows some people's minds just as much as it blows my mind for somebody to say that they do, that they have an instinct of surviving for, logic or something, that lacks an emotional component, some sort of strategy of accomplishing a particular activity, but that they don't have any emotional investment in. That is not something that I can understand what is like, because I've never been that way. I've always been a person that is led by my heart, to use a cliche, but it's true in every sense. I'm a heart-driven person, and that, of course, can have really positive and really negative consequences. And the positive is that whoever it is and whatever it is that I am into and that I am devoting myself to, it's all the way. And if you know me, you don't ever have to doubt that. And that can be an extremely comforting thing. That I'm not going to be somebody who will stay on the sidelines if you need emotional support, because that's what I do, whether it's wanted or not. See, that's the negative side, is that I'll sometimes put myself out there on something where I'm not even needed or requested. because it's just so my instinct to do that. The one thing that I've talked about this many times, that I hate assumptions, but obviously everybody makes them, including me. And the things that I make the most assumptions on are those instinctual things where I respond to something in an emotional way because it just seems like it's the right thing to do and it's what somebody needs. But I could be wrong. I mean, I have been wrong on many occasions. And, in that case, I just have to apologize and get out of whatever awkward moment I can. But the thing is, to me, it's always worth it. Whatever embarrassment that I've ever suffered, or whatever, pain or hassle that I've gone through because I stood up for something or somebody, or because I got too wound up in something to the point that, it became a detriment to me physically or emotionally or mentally, whatever. I don't regret that, because I feel like it comes from a part of me that's necessary. And it's probably a good thing that not everybody's like that we do have the cold hard facts people out there as well, and the people that are not motivated in the same way. And that's something that it's tough for me to accept, but I do, because there's a part of me that, of course, gets really upset when I feel like someone is not responding in the way that they should. And I use that word should very differently than some people do, because I don't say should meaning that someone should do something because they're quote-unquote supposed to, because some authority figure says they are, or some sort of tradition says they are. It's more that someone should react or do something because it's what's called for in the moment, in the situation that's presented in that moment. And so it's a very emotionally driven morality, if you want to call it that. And it's not something that can be boiled down to a set of rules or laws or expectations. It's it's a feeling of, this is something that should drive anyone to feel something, and if they don't, then there's a part of me that feels like there's something wrong with that person. It's been recently I've started to accept that really isn't true, and I need to accept that about people and realize that not everyone has to react to things the same way I do. And that was a lot of kind of vague stuff there, where I didn't talk a lot about the specifics. But I guess the reason I didn't was that I feel like I wanted that to be as universal as it could be in terms of the concept I'm talking about. So I didn't want to make it something where you immediately tune out if it doesn't apply to something that a particular person is into. So anyway, that's it for that.